this coalition has done for each of those years is that we've held what we call the National John Lewis Day of Action, encouraging people to become involved in the community, become involved politically, to check on your voter registration status. All of those things are what this National Day of Action is all about. This year's event, we've now given it the sub-theme of Good Trouble Lives On. And you can go to goodtroubleliveson.org, goodtroubleliveson.org, to find a location of what's happening near you. We have how many, Barbara? Are we at 800?
Yes, we're over 800. We're just 800. Rolling, Daryl. We're over 800. We're heading towards that 900 number, and we are just so proud and grateful to everybody around the country who's stepping up. They're stepping up to host. They're stepping up to participate. They're stepping up to volunteer. I can't be more proud of everyone around the country because this July 17th, we're all about John Lewis. We're all about getting into good trouble.
Absolutely. And what we've done is that we have a flagship event, which is going to be in Chicago, Illinois on July the 17th. But we also have these anchor events. The anchor events are slightly smaller than the national broadcasting event on the 17th in Chicago, but are larger than some of the community events. So one of the anchors events is going to be held in Atlanta, Georgia, and that's what Coach Q was talking about. We're talking about, his Good Trouble Get Down, because they're going to have music, and I guess they're going to be doing, what's that dance called, AJ, with the fans in your face or whatever that is, and doing your little line dance.
Got to get the boots on the ground.
So,
watch out.
In addition to that, AJ, there's a panel discussion that's going on as well. Could you tell folks about that?
Yes. So we will be having our panel discussion take place, which is really designed on speaking about what civic engagement looks like on a 10-year scale. But coming from a couple of different aspects of a historical context and what it looks like in the field, getting people activated and having that type of mentality with making these efforts make sense, with knowing that, okay, yes, voting is definitely a tool, but what does it look like once my vote is casted? What does it look like when, now that I've gone to the ballot, now I have to hit the streets? I really have to put my boots on the ground, and I really have to make an impact in my community. And what does that look like? How do you go, and what are those resources? So we're very, very, very excited to have something like this take place right before we go and we have ourselves that Good Trouble Get Down. But all in all, my main thing and my main excitement is just coming from the coalition that's taking place in Atlanta. There is so many different organizations coming together to make this a possibility, to really make this effort heard and felt across every single community. And I really look forward to seeing what this final look is going to be like.
And
go ahead, Barbara.
No, and one thing I love, Adrian, is that you wanted to make sure people were educated. This panel has a focus. Can you tell people more about the panel and about the reason why this panel is so important to people to come and attend on July 17th in the early evening? Go ahead.
Yes, so we wanted to hear from two activists and two historians. I actually have a friend within my network who is a historian at the National Civil Rights Museum in Memphis with the Lorraine Motel. And he is very well educated on all of the different aspects of what took place during the Civil Rights Movement. If you have not visited that museum, I highly recommend going to see it, just because they walk you through what history was like. They walk you through the entire movement. And so for his expertise to come in, we're also looking to get other historians as well from more local museums, my apologies, in order to get their input as well, and hearing from some young activists of what they're seeing in the field, but also hearing from some of our seasoned activists as to what they would have wanted to do or what can be done now. I'm a firm believer in a each one teach one type of deal and a type of mentality, so that way we don't feel as if we're getting into things on our own or that we have to blindly go when work has already been done. If you have the information, it shouldn't be repeated. Rather, we should enhance it. So to learn from both young, old, and looking throughout history, we'll be able to get a grand scheme and a grand perspective as to what we need to do moving forward, so that way we don't repeat some mistakes of the past, but that way we may also find new ways to make good trouble.
All right now. That I just love it. And it's so important for people. All of these different events, over 800 plus events, as people gather all over the country, that we want you to show up if you can, but there will be virtual events, and we mentioned the national. I want everyone to remember the importance of Atlanta. Coach Q, tell people why they need to know about the importance of the city of Atlanta, and then I'm going to bring up our new guest who is going to be added. So we are, we're asking. I'm going to get to you next, Dr. Glasgow. So please hold on. Let's just finish the Atlanta story right now. So can you please, Coach Q, tell us about why Atlanta is so important?
Man, Atlanta is one of the the biggest growing cities in the United States. We're seeing protests go on across the United States because of the policies that are being introduced by this administration. And I hesitate on calling names, man, but we know what's going on. But Atlanta is that hub, biggest airport in the United States, busiest airport in the United States. The city is growing at such a rapid pace that we have to be the example for the rest of the country. And so right now, Adrian mentioned that we were going to do some educational stuff. But what we have going on right now, and I'm a member of an organization called 5051 Georgia, and if everybody's familiar with that, they've been doing the protests around the country, organizing communities and creating community. And so one of the purposes for me being on this committee of planning this event is to bring about that community and that socialness that we need to grasp again. And what we're going to be doing, we're going to meet at the mural, John Lewis mural, and we're going to take a march down to the amphitheater where we're going to have a Good Trouble Get Down. So we're asking people that are wanting to protest, that are wanting to make their voices heard and want to build more community to come out to Atlanta, this big hub that we have. Come out. Don't think about your cities right now. There are different cities around Atlanta. The metro is where it's happening. So we're trying to increase community here. We want everybody to show up for this event and participate. Have a good time.
That is so awesome. And again, everyone, don't forget, you can go to goodtroublelivesOn.org, goodtroublelivesOn.org, and you will find information about every city, every hamlet, every township, every parish that is holding an event, including Atlanta. Let me now bring up the mighty Reverend Kenneth Sharpton Glasgow. Reverend Glasgow is an amazing leader. He is one of the most renowned figures in the fight for the restoration of rights for those who were formerly incarcerated. He has led this movement throughout this nation. He is joined in that endeavor by his amazing wife, none other than the amazing Rodriguez Rousseau. And it is our pleasure to introduce him today because he is the head of what's called the Ordinary People's Society. I love that title. He also is a leader in what is called the Prodigal Child Project. He is one of our nation's amazing leaders, thinkers, activists, constantly, challenging the state of Alabama to do what it needs to do to provide full voting rights for all citizens. It is our pleasure to welcome to our show again the mighty Reverend Kenneth Glasgow. Hi, Reverend Glasgow. Reverend Glasgow? Reverend Glasgow? Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
There you go. All right. Welcome to our show. Thank you for being with us. So the first question I got for you is, when you think about John Lewis, Day of Action, what does it mean to you as someone living in the mighty state of Alabama? Reverend Glasgow? I don't know what the problem is. We can't hear you, Reverend Glasgow. I don't know what the problem is. All righty. So we'll figure that out.
Hello?
And why we do, yes. Reverend Glasgow. Okay. So while we're figuring that out, let's keep on talking. AJ, one of the real drivers that has been important to you in the planning is reaching out to our Gen Z and young millennials. When you think about those generations, why is it that you want to make sure that they're involved in the Atlanta work?
Well, the biggest reason would be, we're next up. We're right there on the cusp of being the ones to inherit this nation. And if we do not take action now, we won't be able to live the lives that we want to later on. And I'm very fortunate to be in community with a lot of these organizers across the country, thanks to the Transformative Justice Coalition, who already make us activated within these realms. Like, I think about some of the work that some of my friends have done, like Tiffany Pogue in Mobile, Alabama, or some of the work like Drake Smith up there in Pennsylvania. Just all watching what they've been able to do and seeing how they poured into their own communities, but because they had the initiative and that drive in them, or being able to speak out in some realms where we may not be at. Like, I think about Jada Jeffrey in Louisiana, and how she has always been able to let her voice be known and let the voices of her friends be known in places that they can't necessarily reach. A lot of times when we go and we make these efforts, or we go and we put our hand down, we don't think about bringing somebody with us. When we get down to work in the ground and put our hand down on the plow, we don't think about bringing somebody with us to the table of this is what needs to take place. But luckily, with us getting Gen Z activated and getting involved in something like this, we're able to see what true understanding of work is and what's needed to make it a reality. I was very fortunate during the election cycle to actually go and look at how everything was taking place in Pennsylvania, and seeing how Philadelphia and Pittsburgh were on fire because of the youth. It was just a blessing to see. So the more that we get that going, and the more that we impact and we get Gen Z involved and activated, I feel as if the future of America can be very, very bright and can look very different from what we've already seen in years past. So that's why I would love to get more youth involved with that.
Hey, listen, Adrian, that is awesome what you just said right there. When we think about John Lewis was in his 20s when he started his activism with marching with Dr. King. And so we definitely have to get our younger people involved in social change. And I think that's one of the most important things going on right now is that we are starting to see some of the younger people get out there, and we got to keep encouraging them by us older people mentoring and teaching the lessons of people like John Lewis, of people like Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson, all these people that were were the pioneers of the civil rights movement.
Thank you. And Reverend Glasgow, I'm so glad that you're back. And so we wanted to talk to you because people used to call John